Now that we've imported all of our artwork, what we want to set up now is our main character's movements. So I want to be able to push the right and left arrow keys to move my character across the screen. And I also want some animation to play while I'm doing so. So the very first thing I'm going to do is create my first actor. So I'll click back on the Media tab so we can take a look at all the artwork we imported earlier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this stand right image, and I want to click and drag that up into the actor tab right here. And you can see the actor tab automatically springs open, and I can drop that image down here. Now it drops it into a new kind of folder called all, which these are tags, which we won't talk about now, but just know if you don't see your actor, it's because it's inside this all folder, so you can open that up like I have here. It's also really important at this stage to name all of your actors. It's important to name your actors things that are easy for you to understand later on, because as you get into the programming of things, you don't want to have to try to figure out what actor 1, 2, or 10 is. You want to have really simple names to understand. So in this case, I'm going to rename my first actor here Agent. So if I were to drag and drop my agent onto my stage now, you can see we now have our first actor in the stage, but because his tuxedo is totally black, we want to change the background image of the scene so it's not perfectly black so we can see our actor a little bit more. I'm going to click on the Scene tab to do that, so I'll click on Scene. And then if I scroll down, you can see I have a color box here, which is the main background color of my scene. If I click on that, we'll get a color picker. And I'm just going to choose a color that isn't pure black so we can see our character a little bit better. Okay, so now we can see him inside the stage. So let's get started with some simple movements. So again, to do any programming on an actor, all we need to do is simply click on the actor here in the actor bin. So I'll do that now. I have my agent selected. And then I want to open up what's called the backstage. So next to the play button, we have this toggle backstage. So I'll click on that, and that'll open up this window down here. I usually like to make this as large as possible because I don't need to see what's going on in my stage at the moment. So I'll kind of lift this up so we have a lot of space here to work with. So you can see with our agent selected, we have nothing going on inside of his head. So we need to start creating some programming. So the very first thing I'm going to do is click this rule button because we want to create a brand new rule. So I'll click plus rule, and that opens up a new rule box. And what I'm going to do is in this first area right here, I'm going to click, and then I'm going to type in the word key, and then I will select that word from this list here. And what that means is I've just inserted a behavior that allows me to do a keyboard input. So if I click in this box now and then push the right key, it means that this rule is going to be affected when I push the right key on my keyboard. So when I do push the right key, what do I want to happen? Well, that's what this do box is for. So when I push the right key, then I want you to do this. So in this box here, I'll type in the word move. And then you can select move, not move to, but move from this list. So I'll click on that. So far, the programming that I've set up is very simple. When I push the right key, then I want my actor to move to the right. And we know he's going to move to the right because you can see this dial right here. You can see that that dot is facing to the right. If I click and drag and rotate that, he'll move in a different direction. But by default, he's moving in the right direction that I want. So let's go ahead and preview this by pushing the play icon. So we have our actor, and if I push the right key, he in fact does move to the right. So I'm going to push back to editor so I can continue working on this. Now before I create another rule or move on with the movement to the left, I want to do some spring cleaning, which means I want to clean things up a little bit. So all I need to do is double click on the word rule, and I'm going to rename this move right, and then I'm going to fold this whole rule down. Now I'm going to repeat the process by clicking the add new rule, so I'll click that again. And then in this new rule, we're going to do the exact same thing. In this first box, I'm going to click and type in the word key. I'll select that. And then here I will click, and then I will push the left arrow on my keyboard, and that'll insert the left arrow command there. And when we push the left arrow, what do we want to happen? So I'm going to open up do, and I'm going to type in the word move again. I want my character to move, so I'll select that from the list. But this time we're going to have to change the direction because by default we see that his direction is moving to the right. So I'm going to click and drag this dial so that he's moving to the left. Or if you want, you can just type in 180 degrees, which I know is him moving directly to the left. So I'm going to double click on the word rule again, and I'll just rename this move left, and then I'll close that down. And let's preview this and make sure everything's working perfectly. So if I zoom in, I'll use my right key, and he moves to the right, and my left key, and he moves to the left. So far, everything's working perfectly. I'll click back to editor. Now, he's just sliding left and right across the screen. We actually want it to make it look like he's walking to the right or walking to the left. And to do this, we actually have to create some animations. So we're going to open up the move right again. We'll keep move left closed for right now, so open that up. And again, if we read the programming here, when we push the right key, our actor moves to the right. But we want to add in another behavior. So down here in this box, I'm going to type in the word animate and then select that from the list. So when we push the right key, not only do we want our actor to move to the right, but we want some frames to be animated, and all we need to do is drop those frames here in this animation box. So I'll go back up to my media tab here, and the two frames that I want to grab are stand right and walk right, because again, we're using this in the move right behavior, or move right rule I should say. So the first thing I'll do is I will grab stand right and drag and drop that here into this animation box. And then I'm going to grab walk right and drag and drop that here in this animation box. So we just have two animation frames that we're working with here. So let's test that out right away. So if I push the right key, you can see our actor does move to the right and he does animate. So let's repeat this process now for the move left. So I'll close move right and I'll open up move left. And again, when we push the left key, what do we want our character to do? He moves, but we also want to add another behavior, and I will type in the word animate one more time. Click the word animate. So we actually add in that behavior. And again, we'll add in those frames. This time we're going to use stand left and walk left. So I'll just drag stand left and walk left. And then I'll preview this. So if we take a look at what's going on now, the right key means he moves and walks to the right, and the left key means he moves and walks to the left. But you notice something here. When I push the right key and let go, he stays facing right. But when I push the left key and let go, he automatically faces the right again. So why doesn't he stay facing to the left, seeing he walked in that direction? Now you may want that to be the case for your game. Perhaps you want your character to immediately face the right direction again. But in the game that I'm programming here, I want him to walk to the left, and then when he does, he stays facing to the left. So that's a very simple fix. We're going to click back to editor, and we're going to open up the move right, and we're going to scroll down here. And you can see that in the animation behavior that we created, there's this restore actor image when done. That means when you're done with this animation, then you want to restore to a specific actor. And that's this actor. So if we go back to the actor tab and zoom in on our actor here, you can see that the original image that we're using is him facing to the right. So that's what that checkbox means. It means that when you're done with animation, go back to this image. So we're just going to uncheck that for both the move left and the move right. So I'm going to close down move right now, and have move left open. And again, I'm going to go down to the animation behavior and uncheck restore actor image when done. And then I'm going to close down the move left rule. And what I want to do is actually click this group button, because again, I want you to be very organized about how you create your rules and your behaviors. And instead of just the word group, we're just going to call this movement. And then now I can actually drag and drop left movement and right movement into this movement, and then I can close that down and you can see how clean your workspace is. And I can't recommend naming and organizing things enough because it makes it a lot easier for you to work inside GameSalad, so take the time to do it now. And also, when you share your files with us and have questions for us, it becomes very easy for us to understand where to look, and we don't have to search through lines and lines and lines of your visual code to figure out what's going on. So now that that's all programmed and looking beautiful and organized, let's go ahead and preview this one more time. And let's zoom into our actor. And then the right key, he moves and animates, and then if I press the left key and let go, he moves and animates, but he stays facing in the left direction. So now we have perfect movement and perfect animation, and we're ready to move forward.